All right, pilots. This is Nix here, coming back to you with another F-15c Screaming Eagle video, and today we're going to tackle air-to-air engagements. So we're going to get into the different kinds of weapons we're going to deploy and how to deploy them. We're going to get up in the air, we're going to engage some targets using all three different kinds of missiles we can deploy on our Eagle. And we're not going to get into the deep nitty-gritty of radar tactics and so on, but we are going to show you how to equip stuff, where to equip it, and the basics of shooting down some enemy bandits and bogeys. This will get you going. This will get you starting to feel confident when you can see an enemy on your radar, lock them up, and aggress that target. So let's jump into the cockpit. Now we're going to change a couple of we're going to add some keybinds, I should say. We already did most of the keybinds you're going to need just for all the flight and stuff, but we're also going to add a few more to finish off your key bindings. So we're going to need the target lock, which you'll find in your sensors, and your radar return to search. So this will also be it's basically your unlock. So lock and unlock. You're going to need your radar zoom in and zoom out. And of course, you've already got your modes set for navigation, air-to-air, vertical scan, and flood mode. You're going to need your weapon change. You're going to need your trigger, which is weapon fire, that's your trigger, and then weapon release, which is your pickle button. And then you're going to need a key for cannon to select your gun. Then we're also going to need radar RWS TWS. So that's range wall scan and track wall scan. So that switches between the two modes, which if you don't know what all this means, I do have a video already out about missiles that does go into some of the radar usage, but I do not have an advanced radar usage tutorial yet, but I will in the future. And also the pulse repeat frequency select. So that's going to also change the way your radar is scanning. So range wall scan, track wall scan, and then changing the pulse, which will switch your radar from medium or high or innervate, where it's going in between the two. Then you'll also want your scan zone up, down, left, right. So I suggest hopefully you have like a coolie hat, which is a four-way that will look just like a trim hat. You'll want an ECM to turn it on. We're not going to mess with the autopilot this time, so we're not going to worry about that. You're going to want a radar on and off switch. Then, of course, we already did the air brakes. That should already all be set from your old setup. Also, we'll go into the axes. If you did not set it up yet, we got your stick and your pedals and your throttle, but we're going to go ahead and add the TDC slew. So if you're using a mouse and keyboard, that's your mouse and you could use the mouse and keyboard. I don't recommend that. I would use your slew button on your HOTAS, which is like I have here. If you do not have a slew button on a HOTAS, you can do it on the keyboard. So if you come down here to sensors, and you can see target designator up, down, left, right, and center. So those are what you're going to do to slew the cursor around your radar. So that's what you'd be moving around on your radar screen to highlight a target and lock it. All right, that should get us going. Now let's go into loadout. Now we're going to take a little bit of everything this time. This is going to be a standard combat air patrol loadout, so a common cap loadout. We're going to start with our fuel, so let's go ahead and put all three bags on here. This gives you a ton of gas, which is good because the Eagle uses a lot of gas if you're flying around, heavy on the throttle. If you're just cruising out of blower, you can conserve your fuel pretty good, but anytime you need to hit the blower to either gain altitude or get somewhere fast or get your velocity up for that long range missile shot, you're going to be happy you had these bags on. And just while I'm here so I can remember, the downfall of the bags is they're very heavy. So if you actually get close enough to the enemy where you're going to merge, which means you're about to enter a dogfight, you're well inside visual range, you can no longer fire a long range Fox 1 or Fox 3 at the target, and you're going to merge and get into a turn fight with that bandit, then you're going to want to jettison your fuel bags immediately, because you keep trying to turn and dogfight with all that weight on there. Even if they're empty bags, get rid of them. So we're going to want to bind that as well, and it's under Systems, Weapon Jettison. I have mine on the keyboard, so I just reach off my hostess up to my keyboard and I hit W and just get rid of those bags. And usually, depending on what I'm doing, as soon as if I run my bags out of gas, I'll go ahead and dump the bags right then and there, just so I'm not dragging them around. You're much more fuel efficient when you're cruising with the bags off anyway. But there's a lot of fuel in those bags, which we can also go into our systems. This is where you're going to find a lot of other things like the canopy open close, the eject button. What's another good one? You don't really need that. Your HUD colors, if you want to change the HUD brightness or the color of it. I always change my HUD color myself. And also your illumination. Let's see, jettisoning the fuel bags is R for me. I'm sorry, W was the weapons jettison. I don't want to jettison my weapons. I just want to get rid of the bags. So that was my bad. But anyway, you'll get your illumination of the cockpit. That's all like your gauges and stuff. It's dark. If it's pitch black, you turn that on so you can see. You should also have some running lights, which would be, there you go, navigation lights. That way you've got lights blinking on your plane so you don't accidentally run into somebody, or they don't run into you. Okay, back into that loadout. So let's start again. We're going to put our 3 bags on here. Each one of these bags are 610 gallons. Which in the long run, if you're running full blower, that's not as much fuel as you think it is, but you're not going to run around in full blower all the time. Or you shouldn't, I should say. All right, outer pylons. That's the 11, 9, the 3, and the 1. Now you can put AMRAAMs on there, or you can put Sidewinders on there. If I'm going to do a general purpose loadout where I don't know what I'm going to be killing, but I know it's going to be an aerial target because I'm in an Eagle, so I'll usually put my Sidewinders on here. At least 2. This time we're going to go ahead and put 4. If you know you're going to avoid merging, you can load up every pylon with AMRAAMs if you want to. Now, if you look on here, there's many different AIM-9s. I'm going to tell you right now, just use the M's. That's called an AIM-9 mic. It's an all aspect, so you don't have to be just in the rear. You can shoot them from the side. It's not high off-bore sight, but it is off-bore sight. It is a good AIM-9. It does track quite well, and it's probably the best one you're going to be able to get on here. You don't want to mess with the L's, and the P's aren't very good either. So just use your AIM-9 mics. Now next, let's go ahead and put some Sparrows on there. We're going to put the AIM-7 mic Sparrows on here, and we're going to use the H's that are extended. And then in the front, we're going to put up 2 AIM-9C AMRAAMs. Now these are your Fox 3s. So the Sparrows are Fox 1s. The AIM-120Cs are your Fox 3s. We're going to put those on the front. And this is going to be the starting loadout. So let's load it up, and I will see you all in the skies, and we're going to show you how to use your radar and fire these missiles at the enemy. Alright, pilots, here we are. We're up in the air. Check our loadout. You can see that we've got our 4 AIM-9 mics. We've got our 2 AIM-7 Sparrows and our 2 AIM-120C AMRAAMs. So we're ready to test these weapons. So first of all, let's fence in, which means we're going to get our aircraft all set up into the correct modes and activated to aggress these targets ahead of us. So first off, we're going to turn on our ECM, which we already did the keybinds for that. And you can tell your ECM is on by, this is your RWR, your radar warning receiver. So it gives you a general direction of where some radars are that are around you, and if one of them is pinging you or locking you. So we'll turn that on. You can see this is blinking now. And this is your ECM turning on. Once it stays lit, that means your ECM is active and running. Also, let's turn on our radar. So now our radar has come to life. Let's go through a little bit of symbology on the radar really quick. We're not going to get super in-depth into it. This is a beginner's guide, but let's give you a little bit of information you'll need. So this is the range of your sweep. It's going 20 miles out. So that means this is 20, 15, 10, 5, and this is 0. So this would be you. This is the elevation of our sweep. We're using our radar scan elevation to move it up and down. So you can see, like right now, we are scanning all the way out to 20 miles. And we're scanning in between 9,000 feet and 20,000 feet. And we can change that back and forth. Now if you change the range of your scan, now we're at the 40, 20, 10. Now you can see the closer, the shorter range your scan is, the more tight the elevation is. And that's because You got to think of the radar coming out of the front of the plane as the starting point, and then it goes out like a cone. So the farther out it goes, the wider the elevation is of the scan. So if we don't touch the elevation at all, right now it's at 19 to 25,000 feet. Let's go out to 20. Now it's at 14,000 feet to 25,000 feet. 4,000 feet to 25,000 feet at 40. At 80, it's ground level up to 24,000. And if you scroll all the way out, you can see it's 0 to 40,000 feet at 80 miles. But you also got to remember it's a cone. So if something is like at 40,000 feet at 80 miles, it's going to get caught probably. But if it's closer than that, but the same height, it's probably going to not come up in the scan if you understand what I'm saying. Like, let's say this is your plane here, and your radar is going to go out like this to the 40,000 mark. It's not straight across. So if there is something that is roughly at 40,000 feet, but you don't know how far away it is, you're just going to want to kind of move your scan like this to try to pick it up in there. You're going to actively want to be using your radar to try to find these targets. So right now we know the targets that we're looking for. So let's go ahead and scroll out to 20, and let's lower our radar so it's looking down. So we're at ground level to 11,000 feet. So we know our targets are out in front of us, somewhere in between like 20 and 45 miles or so, and they're at about 20,000 feet. And I'm on active pause right now, so we're not flying forward. Everything else is moving but us. So now let's increase our scan to 40. Oh, sorry, wrong way. To 40, and you notice we're still not seeing anything. Let's move the radar up. Now we're at 19,000 feet. We're still not picking anything up. Now we're up to 28,000 feet, and we just got something. But it's pretty far out, so we can barely see it. So let's go ahead and go out to 80. And now we can see there's 3 groups of stuff here. And we're in range while scan, and we're innervating between high and medium. So we don't know much about these bricks except they're out there. If we put our cursor over them and lock one, that'll give us an STT. That is a single target track. And we did that by just putting our cursor, using our TDC slews, getting our cursor over it, and then hitting the lock button. In RWS, range while scan, if you lock something, it'll automatically put it into a single target track, which means as soon as I do this and lock it, now that bandit knows I have it locked. He's getting a radar receiver warning because I have a direct single target track lock on him, so I have a hard lock. The other thing we can do is, let's say we see them, but we need more information, like we don't know exactly what their elevation is or their attitude, which way they're flying. We're going to go into TWS mode now, so track while scan. So in track while scan, now we have a lot more information. We can see the altitudes that they're at, and we can actually see their headings. So we can actually see them in the orbit they're flying. Also, when we're in track while scan, if you get your cursor over them and hit the lock button once, it puts them into a target passive track. So you don't actually have them hard locked, you're just passively tracking them, so you're not giving them an RWR warning. So let's say, let's get this guy. He is now passive track locked. Now we can get more. Whoop, that was an accident. Let's do it this way so I don't, because they're so close together. So there's a solid lock. Let's grab this guy up here. Now we have a passive track on the leader and the trailer. Come over here and hit lock once. Now we have a 3 target passive track, and none of them know we have them locked up. Which, if we're firing AMRAAMs, which are Fox 3s, which hopefully you have watched my missile video to know the difference between all these. If we fired an AMRAAM and we have the passive track, it'll keep tracking that target without letting it know it's been fired until the missile gets so close that it goes pit bull, and then it might be too late because the missile's really close now. So TWS is a very good way to passively track something without getting a hard lock and letting them know, and it's also a good way to fire AMRAAMs unless you need a solid track, like if you want to make sure you're going to hit, and they already know you're there anyway. So let's unlock everything now. So what we're going to do now that we got a little bit of basic radar, we're not going to, like I said, we're not going to get super in depth with the radar. All right, let's fence into the front now. We're going to go into air-to-air BVR mode. Now you can see we have the circle. And there's your acquisition circle. We don't have to really worry about it. You notice our radar went back to RWS mode, which is why we just have check marks here. And we're going to weapon select. You You can sort through them. We're going to keep our AMRAMs up. We have 2 AMRAMs and we're going to use them. We're going to use a TWS track and we're going to fire both AMRAMs at the same time, basically. We're going to fire one and then the other because we're going to track 2 targets at once. So we're going to unpause it now. Alright, we are flying forward now. And let's see if we can get 2 targets tracked here without notifying them. So there's 1 and there's 2. So we have 2 targets now. So this first box you see on the HUD, whoop, we just lost track. That's the other problem with TWS is you can lose track. It's not just TWS. With RWS you can lose track as well. But TWS, especially if they're notching or beaming you, you might lose track. In other words, if they're flying directly parallel to your radar, that can make it hard to hold a lock on them. Let's try this again. We're going to lower our range to 40. There's 1. Let's go for the trailer if we can. Okay, we got 2. Now we got 2 locks. So the box we see here is the first target. That's your primary target. And we have a shooting solution. Now you can see this caret is moving down. This is your max range, and this is your MAR, and this is your min range. So that caret is moving down that track. So when it gets down to this one, it's going to say we can fire. When it gets into this one, it's going to definitely say we can fire because that's the MAR, the minimum abort range. If you're so close that you're inside the minimum abort range, but farther away than the minimum range, that's your best shot. And once we fire an AMRAM, it's going to automatically cycle to the next TWS target. Alright, so we're going to hit the blower now, and we're going to get some speed going. You can see that we are going Mach 0.93 and growing. We can see the target is 25 miles away. And we're just going to keep aggressing that target. Looks like we did lose one of our targets. Let's pick up another secondary here. There we go, we got it. We might lose it though because he's flying parallel to us now, but hopefully we're close enough now. Nope, we still lost it, but we grabbed the other one back. Alright, we're getting close to our max range, and we are going Mach 1.1, so we've got good velocity to fire a missile. They are at about 20 miles now, because you can see they're halfway. And you can tell the ring is nice and big, meaning we're really close to having a shot. We have an imminent shooting solution incoming. We just got a little bit closer. There is 18.5 miles. We did lose one of the locks. Let's lose both locks. Get a new one. Okay, we got 2 again. And now we have 3 locked up. Nope, we lost one of them. We've got 2 locked up. We got a third one again. So now after
Shoot.
Here we go. Oh, we lost a lock.
Shoot.
Well, we got 2 others. So here we go. And whoop. Fox 3. Now our other target is over here, and we already have a shooting solution. You can see the diamond at the bottom of the square, so we know we can get this one too. And Fox 3. So there's both of our AMRAMs. Now we're going to ease off. We're going to drop all these locks, and we're going to grab this one that we haven't shot at yet. And we're going to give him a single target track so we have him hard locked. We're going to switch to our Sparrow. We've got a good lock, we've got a good symbol, and Fox 1. Now we've got to hold the lock the entire time, because the Sparrow is a Fox 1, and you have to hold the radar lock all the way until impact. If you lose the lock, the missile goes dumb. Nope, just like that. See how it just lost the lock?
Shoot.
Oh, right there we switched to vertical scan, and it gave us an auto lock because he was already inside the acquisition circle. And here goes the other Sparrow, Fox 1. So that Sparrow was getting ready to hit, and then all of a sudden it missed because we lost the lock at the last second. So that's the danger of Fox 1s. If you lose the lock for any reason, the missile will go dumb. Alright, now we'll go back there. You see the vertical scan is here. That's why we have this here. So BVR, vertical scan. So where would that target go? We just flew by him a second ago. Let's just use our AWACS map to get a good look. Okay, they're right behind us. So we have our heater selected because that's all we got left. We're going to use the vertical scan mode, so now it's automatically scanning and try to auto-acquire targets that are above the HUD. So I'm going to turn over and roll and pull into the targets. They're out here in front of us. Somewhere. There's one right there. We can see him flying right there. So now, we've already got an auto acquisition now.
Shoot.
And now we have hard lock with the heater. That's good tone. We're still a little far away though. I'm going to get a little bit closer. And Fox 2. Hopefully it gets there. That's a pretty long shot for a heater. But that enemy is highly damaged, so we're hoping it's going to get there. Boom, got him. Alright, now there is one more out here, and there he is right out here in front of us. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to lock him up. So we're going to go to vertical scan. There we go. We automatically got the lock, and now we're going to switch to cannons.
Shoot.
This gives us our shooting symbology.
Shoot.
And it pretty much speaks for itself. You want to get that circle inside the enemy target and be close enough, which you can tell by the ring on the inside moving. So we are in range for a gunshot. It's just a long gunshot. So let's give him a little peppering here. And we're just going to squeeze the trigger for a small burst. Right about there. Boom, went right through him. Look at that. Now let's get another shot. And there we go. Cut his wing right off. Then we'll hit our gun button again to unselect the gun. And we're back on heaters automatically because that's what we have. And then we're going to go back to navigation mode because we are no longer in contact with any enemies. And there you go. That was an AMRAAM. That was, yeah, AIM 120 AMRAAM, an AIM 7 Sparrow Fox 1, and then, of course, an AIM 9 Mike Fox 2 heater. And also a gun skill. So that's the difference in the symbologies. And that was putting those missiles to good use, yeah? So that's basically what the Eagle does. You're going to be flying around a lot. You're going to be looking around for bandits like this, like, oh, I got some stuff out here. Now, the other thing to know is you see these are square checks. Square checks mean they're either enemies or unknown. If they're a circle, like a little dot, that means it's friendly. Don't shoot at friendlies. If you need more information, turn on your TWS. It'll give you some more information on them. Single lock for passive track. Click it again on the same target to get a STT lock or single target track, and that gives you a hard lock. Watch your target. Get lined up on him. Unfortunately, I don't have any more AMRAAMs, but you can see right here, we have a single target track. They're flanking. We see them right there. This dot right here is showing where they're flying. So that's your aim dot. The symbology when you have something locked, which of course we have to get way closer because all we have left is a heater. Gives you all the information you need. There's your airspeed. There's the range to the target. This is all the relevant information you need. You don't have to come down here and look for very much. Most of the information you really need is on the HUD. This is your speed. This is your altitude. This is your pitch ladder. This is your bore sight. This is your nose. This is everything you need right here. And you can see we've got a lot of speed. If we need to, we can just go into the blower, and we're already up to Mach 1.1, which gives us high velocity for missile shots. Basically, we can just cruise right at this guy until we get so close that the infrared seeker gets a good lock, which we have it.
Shoot.
And now we have a hard lock. But we're still pretty far away. I don't like firing heaters from 5 miles away. I like to get a little bit closer. We should be good now, so Fox 2. And there you go.
Shoot.
And it went for the flares. See that? He flared it off. And that's the other thing to learn about heaters is you can see that guy is spending a lot of money on flares, but that saved his butt. So let's give him a little bit of lead on the nose, and we're going to fire another one, Fox 2. We'll see if he flares this one off. Yep, he flared it off again.
Shoot.
So now what we're going to do is going to gain some altitude. We're going to go to guns. And now we're going to roll over the top. And we gained altitude so that we don't shoot out in front of him so far. We were going pretty fast. I didn't want to overshoot the target, so I was managing my closure.
Shoot.
And now we're nicely behind him. We could try to fire one more missile and see if we can get those flares. And now we're out of missiles. Let's see if he flares it off. He's flaring. He's flaring. Oh, the flares worked again. Look at that. So now all we got left is the guns. Let's see if we can get up there and get a shot. And in BFM, and when you get behind and BFM stands for Basic Fighter Maneuvers, by the way. It's basically one-on-one aerial combat. And if you get behind them like this, you really have to pay attention to your closure rate so that you don't overshoot them. If you overshoot an enemy, that means they might shoot you in the butt now and turn the tides on the battle. So managing your closure is very important. Always be keeping your eyes on the bandit and reacting to what they're doing. So right here, I'm going to go ahead and go up a little bit above him, because what I'm going to try to do is go to the elbow and then turn into him, so I got a better angle. I just got to watch my speed because I'm going incredibly slow because he is a big plane and not a fast jet. So you see how I just kind of fell down behind him now. Now I'm going to increase my thrust so I can get some control again. And it's really hard to follow these kind of slow planes like this at times because you need a little bit more speed to maneuver. It's real easy to overshoot them like I almost did a couple times now, but I used the vertical to manage my closure, and now I have a much better angle on him. So I'm going to go ahead and fly forward again here. Because I'm in the control zone, there's nothing he can really do about this. So instead of trying to follow around and just yank my nose in front of him, that'll bleed off energy and speed. I'm going to maintain more energy, increase my energy a little bit, and I'm going to fly a little bit closer to him. And this is called lag, by the way, so I'm following behind him and not following at or in front of him. I'm not trying to pull lead. Right now I'm following in lag, which will slowly give me a little bit better position. Need to be able to see him though. There we go. Okay, so now I can see what he's doing. I'm going to start pulling him in a little bit more because he's starting to go up, which is going to make him get slower. So I need to get a shot off now, so I don't overshoot him and him have a shot, even though I know this guy's not going to have a shot. So here we go. We got a shot. Boom, right across the wings. Let's see if we can get a good fuselage hit. There we go. And it might take a while to get used to it, but you should just go into your own map, spawn some planes. Maybe start them off with no ammo, so that you don't have to worry about them shooting you down, and just get used to locking stuff on the radar, get used to dogfighting it, engage them in BFM, and try to get into lag behind them, and control your speed. Don't pull too hard. If you pull too hard like this, watch my speed. It's just going to start dropping, and then you're going to start losing control of your plane. So you don't just yank the plane to get nose positioning that easily. You got to work it. Patience is the winner of all dogfights. Sometimes someone might get lucky with some crazy-ass maneuver, but for the most part, it's about energy, using your energy and not blowing your energy, and trying to get your opponent to blow their energy. Alright, this is the end of the F-15 beginner's guide, though. That was probably a little bit more advanced than I should have gone for this, but that gives you a decent amount of information to get started. So jump in your planes, spawn some enemy bandits, and start practicing, and before you know it, you're going to be shooting everybody down left and right, and you're going to be loving it. I will see everybody later on the next video.
Shoot. 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 shoot, 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 shoot. Shoot, shoot.